covering sports for 30 years. It's one thing for an exhibition here, there, whatever, but you can't continue to be allowed to build a career without getting into the ring with fighters. And if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, Shannon.
But does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. I think boxing damages itself left, right, and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway.
Nobody can knock him for this. This is now business. This is business. For Jake Paul, absolutely crazy. Jake Paul is a domestic level professional fighter here in the UK.
StephenASmith blasts the announcement, claiming Jake Paul has never treated boxing with the seriousness it deserves. He argues Jake's rise is built on exhibitions and opponents who offered no real challenge, often retired or far beyond their prime. Smith insists this pattern disrespects the sport and says the idea of matching Paul with Anthony Joshua highlights how carelessly boxing is handled today in the public eye.
He can't continue to get away with stepping into the ring against strikers for the UFC, basketball players, unknown boxers.
Simon Jordan raises strong concerns about the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul matchup, arguing that it exposes deeper problems within modern boxing. He believes the sport has shifted toward commercial interests, allowing promoters and fighters to chase hype, revenue, and mass attention instead of meaningful competition. Jordan warns that when boxing prioritizes spectacle over skill, it compromises the respect the sport earned through decades of authentic battles. He emphasizes that matchups like this, while financially attractive, create troubling standards for rising fighters and distort public perception. According to Jordan, using a proven champion like Anthony Joshua to elevate someone who has not faced elite opposition chips away at the sport's credibility. He argues that the event seems driven more by headlines, ticket sales, and social media metrics than athletic legitimacy. Jordan insists that turning a world-class athlete into a promotional tool minimizes the achievements of those who devoted their lives to mastering the craft. He ultimately urges fans, officials, and fighters to resist trends that prioritize money over merit, warning that boxing's long-term integrity depends on restoring competitive authenticity overall.
But this, to me, is everything that's wrong with boxing. It's a money play, nothing wrong. I don't begrudge Anthony Joshua getting 50 million quid for an easy night's work. That's fantastic returns. Most people would take it. From the boxing world, Jake Paul is now a professional fighter. Whether we categorize him as a YouTuber or not, he's licensed to fight, which means that the governing body should be suggesting that this is not a fight that possibly they should be looking to sanction.
Yeah.
But they will, because the sanctioning fees will be enormous. Anthony Joshua will not lose his legacy like some people are suggesting, because no one will remember it in 2 or 3 years' time. If he embarrasses himself in there, they'll remember it. If he goes in and knocks him out in 30 seconds flat, or turns it into a little bit more of a sort of Jake LaMotta raging bull, holding him up for a few rounds and then knocking him out, then people will forgive it. He'll get a big bag of money, which most people in the world would take, and move on. And then we'll see if he fights anybody meaningful in the year. I mean, it is like sport has become. And what I got my head around on Saturday night was the entertainment value of Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. The fighting of itself, I could be all pious about it, but the entertainment industry is so prevalent in sport now. This is entertainment. This is going to have hundreds of millions of people watching it.
Of course.
And Anthony Joshua gets paid, and Jake Paul hopefully gets flattened.
Simon, I know the money's there, but does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. But I think boxing damages itself left, right, and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway. But I think it does get damaged.
Even if it's an exhibition fight, which it might well be.
Well, then what's the jeopardy in that? If it's an exhibition fight, which it shouldn't be, if it's a proper fight, then Jake Paul is going to get demolished.
Johnny Nelson weighs in, calling the matchup absolutely wild and undeniably dangerous. He makes it clear this isn't a typical crossover spectacle. It's a genuine fight with real stakes and real consequences. Nelson acknowledges Jake Paul's courage, but he questions the wisdom behind stepping into the ring with a proven heavyweight champion like Anthony Joshua. According to him, the shock factor comes from the seriousness of the contest itself. This isn't an exhibition, and a single mistake could lead to devastating results. His reaction reflects the mix of excitement, curiosity, and deep concern spreading throughout the boxing world. Nelson goes on to analyze Jake Paul as a competitor, noting that while Paul has shown growth, confidence, and solid fundamentals, none of his past opponents come close to Joshua's level. He sees Jake's boldness as impressive but equally alarming, considering the sheer danger of facing a world-class heavyweight with knockout power and elite experience.
Because of Anthony Joshua's desire to be in the history books, to be a 3-time heavyweight champion of the world. To me, it shows me his desire. Yeah, pick up 50 million along the way. Nobody can knock him for this. This is now business. This is business. For Jake Paul, absolutely crazy. Jake Paul is a domestic level professional fighter here in the UK. Would he win a British title? No, I don't think so. So now they're putting this domestic level fighter in with a former heavyweight 2-time champion of the world. The weight is 245. So I think last time Anthony Joshua weighed around that, it was when he boxed Usyk. That means he's got to be fight fit on point, because his last fight he was 18 stone. I think it was 254 against Danny Dubois. So now he basically saying you've got to get yourself in position, get yourself fit, and get yourself ready for fight. It's not tiddlywinks. This is a fight. It's not a push and a pull. You know, so as long as it's not a push and a pull, and don't put me down and don't touch me in the build up to this fight. You know, when McGregor and Mayweather, they had this little side deal, don't touch me in the build up to this. If this is a real, legitimate fight, Jake Paul is absolutely crazy. If not crazy, he's super brave. And it'll be interesting to see.
Well, what do you think? Yeah, because you said that before when we spoke about it being a proper fight or not. And Eddie Hearn and Paul's promoter, Nikisa Bidarian, have both said in the last couple of days it will be a proper fight. And now you've heard the details, 8 rounds, 3 minutes a round, 10-ounce gloves. Do you believe it when they say that it's going to be a proper fight?
I do believe it because AJ is involved, and I think AJ would struggle to. He's going to take enough flack over this, but again, it's money talk. So I think AJ will struggle because it's an Owen situation. If he goes in there, and Jake Paul lasted the distance. What does he tell you about AJ? Apart from he's just earned an extra 15 million quid. If he goes there and struggles with Jake Paul, then what to say about AJ? Your heydays are well and truly over. If he goes in there and knocks him out, then I'll say that's to be expected. So the glory, there's probably not much glory in it, apart from the haters of Jake Paul to say, right, I've got rid of this kid. I think it's very brave of Jake Paul. So now the problem child has got to believe this fight's actually happening.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned and catch you next time.